43 million people are about to lose their food stamp benefits come the beginning of the month, this coming Saturday. And of course, the internet is having an epic meltdown over this. Today, I want to dive into what's happening and how people are reacting to losing their food stamps. Right off the bat, I just want to say, I understand there are people who need benefits. I'm not saying 100% of all of the people receiving benefits aren't deserving of it. Of course, there are kids who are in unfortunate circumstances. There are elderly who physically can't work and they rely on food stamps to supplement their income. And of course, there are people who fall on hard times and they need the supplement, because that's what it is, supplemental nutrition assistance program. They need a supplement to help them. My issue is with all of the people who have turned getting food stamps, getting Section 8 housing, getting Medicaid, getting all these government welfare programs into a lifestyle. And it is a lifestyle. And I am saying this from someone who has family members who are receiving a variety of these different programs. And I have witnessed firsthand how these people receive their food stamps, use their food stamps, what they're purchasing with their food stamps. And I think it's an affront and a slap in the face to every single hardworking American who goes to work and has a job and has been struggling through inflation. I've talked about this on Substack and in other videos, but inflation is substantially higher at the grocery store than people realize. It's probably closer to 20%, not this 3% that they keep saying from the government. So a lot of people are struggling right now. There's no doubt about it. And I think it is just an absolute slap in the face to hardworking Americans who are being asked to foot the bill for literal welfare queens, for illegal migrants who have come into this country and are being given these benefits, and for people who just don't want to work. And there's plenty of these people on the food stamp payrolls who just don't want to work and they think they're entitled to this. So I'm talking about these people. I'm talking about the institutionalization of people living on welfare and expecting and feeling entitled to the taxpayer dollars that are being earned by everyday middle class, working class Americans. I'm not talking about, Sally Sue who has fallen on hard times, or grandma and grandpa who are struggling. That is a minority of people who are receiving food stamps benefits. I am talking about people like you'll see in some of these videos. So the first one I want to talk about is this one. All these were posted to X, but I think this was a really interesting hot take. A lot of people are threatening violence. They're threatening going into stores, going to Walmart. Walmart's one of the top recipients of food stamp dollars, so a lot of these people shop at Walmart. Literally threatening to go to Walmart and loot. And if we learned anything from the George Floyd protests in 2020, these people will make good on their word. So I'll be curious to see what happens come Saturday.
Like this, I just got that text that the link is definitely cut the fuck off for November. Y'all better stay the fuck out of my way in these stores. I'm walking out with carts and I'm not paying for shit. Trump, if you want motherfuckers start looting, it's gonna happen. Before my kids go broke in this bitch like Jock, I'm gonna be stealing like it ain't no tomorrow. I am going to go in that store, get everything I get regularly. I'm going to bag my shit up, swipe my link card. As soon as that bitch say ain't no pending balance on there, I'm going to walk the fuck out. And I'm going to have one of my cousins with me that'll punch your ass so hard, you going to think a Jet 2 holiday hit your bitch ass if you think I ain't finna walk out that stuff. And please follow me to that motherfucking car. If you feeling motherfucking froggy, bitch, you ain't going to make it back to your motherfucking position at that fucking Walmart store. I'm telling you. You want to take some link? Like, I don't be taking shit already. Watch this. It's okay.
Okay, so she's obviously clearly irate about this and is pissed off that she's not going to get her food stamp benefits loaded to her card at the first of the month like she expects. But what is interesting about this, and there's been other videos like this as well, where people are threatening the use of violence, and they're threatening to just go to stores, loot, and then walk out. And the thing is, I said George Floyd in the beginning, but then also just looking at how cities are operating, a lot of these people who are receiving food stamp dollars, they're living in urban centers, so they're in big cities. We have already seen an uptick in retail theft in a lot of these places. So stores just they've been overrun by theft for a while now. And so I don't think it would phase a lot of stores if something like this were to start happening. And I don't think any of the democratically controlled cities, I'm thinking like New York and Chicago and LA, I don't think they would really do anything about it, because we have seen for the past 5 years now, people literally going into these stores and stealing stuff en masse, and no one's done anything about it. So this could really, I think, take off if when push comes to shove, like food has always been the decisive factor in any sort of political uprising and revolution. I mean, the French Revolution, obviously one of the most famous examples, but people literally stormed the Bastille, took to the streets, and beheaded the monarchy because they couldn't afford bread. Right or wrong? Like, I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying, like, that was the catalyst for that. And so, if you're going to deprive food from people, and there's a whole argument to be made as to whether or not this is actually food that they're talking about here. I don't think chips are food. People will go out of their way to do extraordinary things if you're threatening their perceived ability to survive. So, 43 million people losing their benefits, not an insignificant number of people. All right, let's dive into this one.
But why do you taxpayers care so much where your money goes?
I can relate a lot to her.
Like, what is it? It's not like they're possibly abusing it or anything, right?
This lady was standing behind me, and I was getting ready to pay, and of course I take out my EBT card. Because what else am I going to pay with?
Cash, debit card, credit card. The same thing that people who don't receive EBT pay with.
Yeah, or like, buy now, pay. I'm not advocating this, but like buy now, pay later has taken off too. Like, there are people literally paying for groceries, especially at Walmart, on like installment plans. So the rest of us, when we go to the store, we are expected to pay for things with our own money, regardless of whether you are borrowing that money at interest or paying with cash. Like, we are all expected to pay with our own money, but EBT recipients, they just go through the grocery line and they're literally spending someone else's money. It's not money they've earned, it's just money they've been handed.
And then she's like, ma'am, I love your nails. How much did they cost? I'm like, oh, these were like $85.
Yep.
No nails done here, because that's a luxury.
Nope.
And I don't typically splurge on luxuries because I'd rather make sure that everything is provided for my house and my kids. So,
okay, yeah, this is a thing too. And there's an archetype and a pattern. So, like, when I say welfare queen, I'm not being racist here. I'm not like trying to stereotype, but there is an archetype of people who are benefiting from these programs and then going on to social media and gloating about it. They all have like huge nails, really expensive. I can tell you just from, when I got married, I got my nails done, and I'm just talking like a basic, like normal OPI nail polish on my fingers and on my toes, just a regular mani-pedi. That in and of itself was $70. Okay, so anytime you get like shaped nails or like fancy designs or patterns, or you're doing like acrylics and stuff, we're talking like $100+. So anytime you see a woman with like really like extravagant nails, like that costs a pretty penny. But then you're also seeing, you saw this woman in this video, she had fake eyelashes done. I don't know how much that costs, but you see a lot of these women who are talking about getting food stamps, and they have, some have nice handbags, they have their eyelashes done, their nails done, their hair done, they have all these nice things. Like, I'm with her, like, I haven't gotten my nails done other than getting married. Like, I haven't gotten my nails done all year. I haven't cut my hair. I've gone to get my hair cut in a year because it's just one of those superfluous things that really don't need to spend money on right now. I don't wear not a lot of makeup intentionally because it costs money, right? And so you're seeing all of these people who are spending taxpayer dollars, but somehow they can magically afford to get their nails done. It's just, like I said, it's an absolute slap in the face to hardworking Americans.
We do glue-ons around here. $8.99 from Walgreens.
And then once she sees me taking out my card, she starts bitching. She's like, you paid $85 for your nails, but you need EBT to pay for your groceries? I'm like, yes, bitch.
That's the problem right there. If you can afford $80 to $85 to however much money you spend on getting your nails done, which is not a necessity, as you can see. If you can afford to spend that money, then you should be using that money on groceries. Plain and simple. This is why people are tired of people overusing SNAP benefits.
Yeah, okay. And she also, this whole exchange happened, by the way, when she was checking out at Walmart. So Walmart notoriously does not pay their workers well. They pay their managers well. But your hourly, like associates, they are barely at, you know, the poverty line, basically. And I don't know how true this is. I've heard rumors this is true, but there are some Walmarts that will, like their HR department, they'll bring people in to help workers navigate welfare programs because they don't pay enough or they don't give enough hours for their associates to be able to make enough money to feed themselves. So you have someone at Walmart who is earning a wage. It's probably like $15 to $20 an hour. So that person here, she is probably, you know, struggling to make ends meet, but they're doing the right thing and they have a job. They may or may not qualify for food stamps, probably don't because they are working. And then you have another woman coming through the line, paying with EBT, using food stamps, nails done and everything. And so, yeah, like, how would you feel working an 8 to 10 hour shift on your feet at Walmart and you have a woman like that come through your line, like you're exhausted, you're maybe at the end of your shift, an 8 to 10 hour shift, like maybe you have $100 to $125 in that you'll get for that shift, right? Like after taxes and stuff, like maybe. And this, you know, people come through your line and they have, you know, $85 nails done and they're using food stamps and you don't get the same benefits and you're working hard. Like it's such a slap in the face. And it's not even just like middle class people. It's literally the hourly people. You have people who are working retail jobs, again, making the $15, $20 an hour, barely making ends meet, but they're trying their best. They're doing the right thing. And then you have these freeloaders who aren't trying, don't want to work, like can't be bothered, but they still want to, you know, have all of their glamorous perks of their lifestyle. It's just so insane. Okay, here's another one. I picked this one because, yeah, she gets a ton of money, but also to highlight that this isn't like a racial issue. And I think a lot of people will watch critiques of SNAP recipients and like, yeah, you do see a pattern. Usually it is single black women living in cities with several kids and multiple baby daddies. Like that is usually the archetype, but it's not like they're not the only ones who are playing the system. You have a lot of different other groups of poor people or people who just aren't working who are also trying to game the system as well. So I want to dispel the myth that this is just a completely like racially motivated attack on food stamp recipients. Like it cuts both ways. It goes across the board.
Welfare. I just want to show you something real quick.
Sorry, she's a little soft-spoken in her video.
This is my upcoming pending deposit for SNAP EBT for November.
$4,000.
People are laughing at me right now because you think that I'm going to suffer come November. You better think again. I know how to work the system into my favor. I know how to get what I want. I have multiple sources of income, and that's where a lot of you go wrong. You rely on one source of income. But if you had multiple, if something like this were to happen where EBT gets shut down, you still have your other sources of income. But regardless, I'm still gonna get my EBT money for November. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I'm gonna get mine, and that's that.
Okay, notice in her video, she referred to EBT as income. This isn't income. Like, this is not the same thing as going to a job and making money. Like, people should feel ashamed for being on EBT. Like, that's how it used to be. You know, back in the day, like, there was social shame and stigmatization for receiving welfare benefits like this. Like, this is not a place to want to be. But as you can see, like, there's such an air of entitlement around these women. Most of them, as you know, are women. That they think it's theirs, that they're entitled to it. So she refers to it as income, which is a problem. But then she talks about having multiple streams of income. So one of the big problems I have with the whole food stamp program is that a lot of these people, they're not just irresponsible people, they're actively defrauding the food stamp program. And I don't think liberals who defend this kind of stuff really understand. They just like hear the top level talking points. Oh, you're stealing from, poor people or children or the elderly, blah, 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 people who actually need it. No, a lot of these people are actively scamming it. So there are secondary markets where people will sell their food stamp dollars for cash, and then they'll buy whatever, drugs, alcohol, lottery tickets, all the things that aren't permitted with food stamps. So there's a whole secondary market for selling your benefit dollars. But then, like she alluded to here, there are loads of people who lie about their income. So they won't report, like say they're in a relationship and maybe they're not married. They won't report the baby daddy's income. So they'll just get it for themselves and their kids. And they'll claim the dependent, but they won't note the father's income. Or maybe they work on the side. Maybe they have a side hustle. They do cash. OF, there's multiple different ways to earn income, and they just don't report it. And you can watch videos of people like this who genuinely believe like whatever income they're earning outside of like a 9-to-5 job or like an hourly W-2 job doesn't have to be reported on for taxes. So they're not only like defrauding the IRS while the rest of us are trying to be as honest as possible, but they're deliberately doing so that they can artificially lower their income to make them eligible for more food stamp dollars. So this is what I'm talking about. Like, it's such an affront to working Americans. There's people who are working hard, trying to support their families, feel shame for going on to EBT, right? But then they'll game the system. They'll play the system, and it's not playing it. It's theft. You're stealing from poor people who genuinely need it, because the ones who actually need food stamps, they're not the ones making TikToks, and they're not the ones gloating about it online. They're the ones who are maybe getting $20 a month, $100 a month while working, potentially full time at a place like Walmart, and they can barely make ends meet. So there are loads of people who are on food stamps who genuinely need the supplement because they can't afford their cost of living. There are lots of people who make too much money and don't qualify for food stamps because on paper they're making too much, but when you factor in the cost of living and inflation, they actually don't have that much cash flow coming into their bank account every month. So there's lots of people who don't qualify, aren't benefiting, don't get anything out of food stamps, who actually need it. And then there's women like this who are deliberately lying, misrepresenting their income, and then they're getting $4,000 to go splurge on Lord knows what. Okay, I love what this woman has to say. I think this is just wisdom, and I think, oh man, it's time for some radical accountability, and I think she really hits the nail on the head here.
Take away child support, food stamps, Section 8, and Medicaid. I bet some women will be more cautious of who they sleep with.
Yep. I think because this has been condoned, right? Like, you can have as many kids as you want. You can lie about who the fathers are. So there's paternity fraud, right? You can have as many kids as you want and do whatever you want, and there's no recourse at all. And I want to show you an example of this. So this is a woman. Her name is Shaqueva Rutledge, but she goes by Quay Party of 9 on TikTok. She is a morbidly obese 28-year-old mother of 9. She's been posting. She posts about her EBT hauls. So I'll play stuff here. You can see this is what she's getting. She's getting ultra processed food. You're using your tax dollars and my tax dollars to feed her 9 children, which I'm going to presume are by 9 different baby daddies. Like, I don't know how many, fathers are in the picture here. But clearly she's, had no regard for any personal responsibility. Now relies on food stamps, or was relying on food stamps. Last I saw, she had posted a video from August that they had shut down her food stamps. But she regularly had posted, this is from July, so she had regularly posted videos like this where she would have $1,000+ hauls of food, and that she claimed she had $12,000 in food stamps, and she's buying soda and cookies, and she posts videos of herself making her kids dino nuggets, and it's just absolutely insane. Like, I have no sympathy. And she apparently lost her house due to a fire, and so she's been posting on she was like homeless and posting stuff on TikTok asking people for money. It's just, there's absolutely no shame, and there's no personal responsibility at all. So yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree with this woman who posted here. Like, if you start taking away these benefits, then women will have to be held accountable, and they will stop living this lifestyle. And I don't think people grasp that this is actually a lifestyle. Like, in much the same way that wealthier people pass down advice to their kids on how to invest and how to save money and how to build a career and how to build wealth, people at the other end of the socioeconomic spectrum pass down poverty. They pass down tips and tricks on how to game the system, on how to get free housing, on how to, use Medicaid and all that kind of stuff. So that institutional knowledge, it is passed down to keep people poor in much the same way knowledge is passed up to keep people rich. And I don't think people understand this. Like, to break this cycle of poverty, you can't just give people more money. That just incentivizes them to double down and not work and keep living like this. Like, you have to change the mental framework of how these people live, and you have to take punitive measures to make this kind of lifestyle undesirable and untenable, so long as people get free healthcare, free housing, and they can buy whatever garbage they want at the store on the taxpayer dollars. Like, they're going to keep doing it, and they're going to keep teaching their kids to do it. And if you're like this woman and you have 9 kids, this is the life they're growing up in. This is what is normal to them. This is what they think the world is supposed to work. They think they're entitled to benefits like this. And so when you have, women like her, this is idiocracy in real life. We have women like her who are having 9 children and everyone else is having, 1. This is the future. It's people like this who think they are entitled to your hard-earned cash and mine. And that's the reality of it. Okay, here's another really fantastic takedown. I agree. It should be uncomfortable to live off food stamps purposefully. Like I said, we got to change the culture around this.
You want to know why I'm not having an aneurysm over people losing their food stamps on November 1st? Here's why.
Come grocery shop with us. Go by fast.
Look at that. Chips.
One of you.
Processed food.
This is what I pick, and
Gross.
this is what he picked.
It's not even food. Like, at this rate, they're not even buying food.
I tell you what, how about this instead? If you're on food stamps, you get a pre-selected box of meat, bread, rice, food staples, and fruits and vegetables. No more handing you a debit card filled with other people's cash for you to go load up on Oreos. The goal here is to keep you from starving, because taxpayers do not need to bankroll your junk food pantry or your health problems. You want to know why I'm not having an aneurysm?
Okay, I'm right there with her. Like, I don't think, again, like, people don't realize the compounding effects of this as well. So it's not even just people lying about their income, institutionalizing poverty, stealing from taxpayers, stealing from other poor people. Like, that's an issue of and of itself. There's a compounding effect here where the food people are buying isn't actually food. And it's ultra processed junk. So you're basically, SNAP is a de facto corporate subsidy to stores like Walmart that sells this food, but also to manufacturers of ultra processed foods. So whoever is making, Frito-Lays and Tony's Pizza, like, all of those companies are basically benefiting from taxpayer, like a government subsidy. This is a corporate subsidy for those food manufacturers. But then the really insidious part is, because all this food is garbage and it's junk, it causes cardiovascular diseases. So it causes things like diabetes, it causes heart issues. And so the same people who are on food stamps are also getting Medicaid. So then you and I have to pay for their hospital visits and their doctor's appointments to treat these issues, these lifestyle related issues. And again, like, look, I mean, she's morbidly obese. She is morbidly obese, feeding her kids all sorts of processed food here. You got, the one girl moving chips, and this is what she's feeding them. So, of course, these kids aren't going to be healthy either. They're going to develop obesity. They're going to develop health issues. And so who's responsible for it, right? And so there's a compounding effect of it, is that we're paying for these people to indulge in a gluttonous, unhealthy lifestyle. And then because they're so large and they're so big, when they go to the hospital, it also increases the cost of treating them. Like, there's a very different treatment plan for a woman like her of her size than there is, someone like me in my size. That's just like the reality of biology. And so I think that isn't being talked about enough, that there are downstream consequences of this that affect all of us in the long term. Okay, I'm going to skip over a couple of these. Okay, yeah, another irate, angry woman who threatens to riot, go to the stores and steal.
Man, Jay Trump, I'm gonna tell you just like this. What the fuck you mean? Who ain't getting that goddamn food stamps in goddamn November? Cause I'm getting my goddamn shit. I don't know about the rest of you motherfuckers, but I'm getting my shit. Cause I'm gonna tell you just like this, on Jesus Lamar motherfucking Christ, I will be at motherfucking Walmart with my steel toes on and my motherfucking helmet, and I dare a bitch try to stop me from walking out that motherfucking store with my groceries. Baby, I'm 250 pounds solid. Baby, you want to see a human motherfucking bulldozer, baby? Because that's what the fuck I'm going to turn into. If you think you going to stop me from leaving out that goddamn store with my motherfucking monthly groceries that I get every goddamn month, I ain't bothering no goddamn body, okay? Why the fuck is y'all bothering me and my goddamn food? I'm just so tired of his big back, bald head, cradle cap having ass. Shaped like a motherfucking penguin any motherfucking way, albino motherfucking walrus looking ass. I'm sick of him. Like, it's gonna be an episode of goddamn Snap if y'all turn them goddamn Snap benefits off, I can tell you that.
Okay, so you'll see here and in the other video that these women keep blaming Donald Trump. So this is inherently political in nature. And this is one of the fundamental problems of food stamps is you're not actually helping people, you're buying votes. And that's what this is all about. That's why urban people of color in urban areas tend to get food stamps, partly because it is institutionalized culturally, but also partly because it's a way to buy votes and guarantee votes that are typically pro-Democrat. Like, they're yelling at Donald Trump. Donald Trump had nothing to do with this. The majority of people voted for Donald Trump, and we're tired of this. The fatigue is real. This is clearly about buying votes. The same thing with illegal migrants, handing out benefits to them as well. And that's what a lot of this is all about. And that's why that's why the talking point is focused on, the small minority of genuine people who may lose their benefits. That's why liberals are so focused on that. Because they don't, they need an emotional, rallying point for these people to go, fall behind. To get them backing this, because they're completely oblivious. And most wealthy white upper class liberals, they're shopping at Whole Foods, they're not going to Walmart, they're not interacting with these people, they're not going to the hood. They are living in such a separate universe from these people. They do not understand the culture. They don't know how these people spend their money and the sense of entitlement. And I'm saying this coming from the perspective of someone who associated with a lot of these, white upper class liberal women in particular, but who also, grew up in a socioeconomically depressed area and has family members who are using food stamps, who, frankly, in my opinion, I don't think they need it. They can, easily get a job. They just choose not to. But that's the reality of it, right? And so I'm looking at it from both perspectives, and I can tell you, the people who are shopping at Whole Foods, who are voting in favor of this, they don't actually know what's happening because they're completely oblivious to it. They just listen to the talking points that the Democratic Party gives them. They ignore what the rest of us say because we're, crazy conservatives. And then this continues. So you have to get more people upset with it. Okay, I have one more video I want to play just to close this up.
If I see you making videos about how your kids won't have a Thanksgiving this year because you're about to lose your SNAP benefits, but you have your hair done, your nails done, your lashes done,
yep,
your lips done, and your forehead is frozen as well, then it has nothing to do with the fact that you're losing these benefits and you can't feed your kids. It's just that your kids aren't your priority.
Mm-hmm.
I am sick of hearing this narrative. Now, do SNAP benefits affect a certain portion of the population for people who genuinely need these benefits? Yes. And I feel awful for those people. But my thing is, the amount of people who are on our benefit system through the government that genuinely need it because they have no other way of providing food and a shelter and benefits for their kids, it is such a small amount of people. Such a small amount of people. The majority of the people who are riding this system have been doing it for life, and they don't know anything else. They don't know any other way to live life other than to live off of government assisted benefits.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah. I just want to play her the clip of her because I think she's really on point there. Like I did a mission trip in high school with my church, and we went down to the Bowery Mission in New York City. If you're not familiar with the Bowery Mission, it's a homeless shelter / like meal kitchen. So we were there preparing meals, and their whole thing is they'll do like the pastors will come and they'll preach the message, a sermon, and then you have to sit through the sermon, then you can go get a meal. So I just spent a week there in high school volunteering at that. But one of my biggest kind of takeaways from that experience is you had two groups of people. So you had your typical homeless population, the ones who are, ex-criminals, addicts, drunks, the usual suspects you would expect. And then you had the people who you didn't expect, but who had fallen on hard times. And, I remember this woman who was trying to get a job, and she had lost her cell phone, and she missed some sort of interview, and then had lost her, I think went through a divorce and had lost her housing. There's just all these different cascading things, one thing after another, after another, after another. And, she wasn't, I just remember, her personality really impressed upon me because she wasn't demanding, she wasn't entitled, she was very appreciative that we were there serving, and she was just trying to get back on her feet. And I think that's the case for a lot of people. There are a lot of people who hide the fact that they're in poverty. They might be living in their cars, but going about life as if nothing was wrong. A lot of truly poor people will live week to week in hotels, and they'll normalize that. They're not the ones who are bragging about it. They're not the ones who are gloating about it. They'll do everything in their possible to hide the fact that they're in poverty. And those are the ones who I think truly need it, because they're the ones who understand they have to work hard, they're struggling, and they just need the little bit of a boost. So as a human, I'm very sympathetic to those people. It's all of these people that we watched here who are, morbidly obese, have more children than they can take care of, have no sense of personal responsibility, who are just eating garbage, and they feel entitled. They're willing to engage in acts of violence because they feel entitled to these benefits that they have done nothing to earn. It's just the system that they've grown up in, they think is normal. And all the while, they're still going about, living their equivalent of a glamorous life, getting their nails done, all that kind of stuff. So it really is an affront to working Americans. So we'll see what happens come November 1st. I'll be curious to see if people do make good on this and they do start looting in places like Walmart and Dollar Generals and different grocery stores, and they just start walking out with food. I'll be curious to see if that happens. That could have, because of the political nature of this, because food stamps is a de facto way of buying votes, that could have some serious consequences. Like I said, food has always been the major catalyst for revolutions and for major uprisings throughout history. And so that could play out again. So I'd be curious to know, how this shakes out. I'd be curious to know what happens. One thing I'll leave you with, I'm not going to play this, but I made this video, 3 months ago. I think it's worth a watch. It kind of breaks down how food stamps is actually a corporate wealth transfer. I don't think people understand, and I was kind of alluding to this earlier, but the retailers and the companies that benefit from it, they're effectively getting taxpayer-funded dollars as revenue, and Walmart is a big recipient of this, right? And so when you're giving EBT money to people who are playing the system, like you're effectively enabling a corporate wealth transfer. So the very people who are going out and protesting and who hate the billionaire class are the same people who are demanding socialism and greater benefits for welfare queens, who are then taking the money that they are, we're all paying into taxes, and then they're transferring it to the billionaire class. So it just, the double standard is insane. Like, how can you complain about the billionaire class when you support policies that continue to enrich the billionaire class, So if you haven't watched this, I'll link it below, but I think this is a good deep dive to really understand how awful food stamps are. We need to get rid of it. We need to get rid of it. We need to privatize charity again. Like, if you want to run a food kitchen, or if you want to volunteer or donate to a food bank, like, take care of the people in your community. Look after one another. But it's not the responsibility of taxpayers across the country to look after the interests of the poor people of Chicago, for example. Like, that is on the municipality of Chicago, the people of Chicago, to look after each other. And right now we live in a system where, my tax dollars are going to support people like we saw in this video, in these videos, who they're not contributing to society. They're not really doing much of anything, frankly. And they're just getting thousands of dollars every month to spend on manufactured food products that are making everyone sick in the long run. And it's just, it's a parasitic culture, and it's got to go. And hopefully this is a step in the right direction. We'll see, but I'll echo the sentiments that this woman in this last video said. Like, my heart goes out for the people who are genuinely struggling, the people who actually need the assistance, and they're not going to get it this coming month. And this is the problem. This is the problem, that you have a lot of bad apples who ruin it for everyone else. And until you can figure out a way to keep the bad apples out, it makes it really hard to create a solid social safety net for the people who genuinely need it. And, that's the reality of it. And until there's some radical personal responsibility and accountability, it's going to be hard to keep programs like this afloat. So that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. And if you have any thoughts or comments, definitely leave them below, and I'll see you in the next video.